Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today we're jumping right into a huge topic that's changing things behind the scenes, AI accountability. We're going to demystify the whole idea of an AI audit and look at how California is leading the charge to make sure AI is safe, fair, and something we can actually trust.
So let me ask you this. An AI turns down your loan application. Or maybe it rejects your resume for a job you really wanted. How on earth do you know if that decision was fair? Was it based on solid facts? Or was there some kind of hidden bias in the code? This isn't science fiction anymore. This is a real problem people are facing right now.
And that really gets us to the heart of the matter. AI isn't just for picking your next song or movie anymore. It's now making incredibly high-stakes decisions that affect our actual lives.
I mean, think about it. These systems can literally shape the medical advice you get or decide your credit score. But here's the catch, right? Without any rules of the road, these decisions can be biased or they can be just weirdly unexplainable. They become these black boxes that we're basically just told to trust, no questions asked.
So what do we do about that? Well, California is not waiting around. They're stepping in with what is basically a brand new rule book for artificial intelligence.
What's really cool here is that this isn't just one law. It's like a whole safety net. You've got laws like AB 3030, which make sure you know if you're getting medical advice from an AI. Then there's FEHA, which tackles bias head-on by forcing companies to audit AI used in hiring. And SB 942 requires watermarks on stuff made by AI. See? It's a whole framework, all designed to build in some much-needed accountability.
Okay, so having a rule book is great, but rules are only as good as their enforcement, right? That is where the auditors come in. And believe me, they come prepared with a pretty essential toolkit.
A real AI audit isn't just some random spot check. No way. It's a super methodical process, and it's built around 3 key documents that kind of act as the auditor's roadmap. Let's break down how they work. Everything kicks off with the scoping letter. You can think of this as the mission plan or the blueprint. It lays out exactly what is being audited, why it's being audited, and the timeline. It just gets everyone on the same page from day one. Next up, you've got the evidence checklist. Now, this is where the rubber really meets the road. It takes these big, kind of fuzzy goals like fairness or privacy and turns them into concrete, verifiable proof points. An auditor can literally go down the list. Do you have a privacy policy? Yes or no? Can I see your latest bias report? It makes compliance something you can actually measure. And finally, the interview guide. You know, this might just be the most important piece of the puzzle, because a policy is just a document until you talk to the actual people who are supposed to be following it. Interviews are where auditors find the gaps between what a company says it does and what's really happening on the ground. So, all these rules, all these tools, what are they all for? Well, they're all designed to tackle one of the single biggest challenges in AI today, prying open that black box.
So what exactly is a black box AI? It's basically a system where you see what goes in and you see what comes out, but the decision-making process in the middle, total mystery. It spits out an answer, but it can't tell you why. And when we're talking about a loan denial or a medical diagnosis, the why is absolutely everything.
To fix this, you need 2 different kinds of transparency. First, there's manifest transparency. That's the stuff you and I see, like a little disclaimer or a watermark. Then, there's latent transparency. This is the behind-the-scenes stuff, the internal logs, the model logic that auditors need to dig into to make sure everything's on the level. And the key takeaway here is that you have to have both. One without the other just doesn't work. You need that public-facing clarity and that internal accountability to build a system that people can actually genuinely trust.
This all leads us to the big technical goal here, which is something called explainability. You could almost call it the holy grail of trustworthy AI. It's the ability to take an AI's super complex mathematical process and translate it into terms that a normal human can actually understand.
So how do they even do that? There's a fantastic analogy that really helps make sense of it. Think of an AI model like a chef. One tool, called SHAP, can explain the chef's entire cooking philosophy, the big picture rules they follow. Another tool, Lime, can tell you the exact ingredients that went into the one specific dish you were just served. You need both to get the full story.
Okay, so we've got the laws, we've got the audit tools, and we have the tech. Let's pull all these threads together and talk about the #1 outcome here: building public trust.
You know, at the end of the day, it all comes down to this: the power to look inside the box, to demand an explanation, to have a trail that someone can actually check. That is the absolute bedrock of trust in these systems. Without it, we're all just kind of crossing our fingers.
And this is not just some academic exercise. The impact in the real world is massive. We're talking about preventing discrimination in hiring and loans, making sure patients aren't getting confused by AI medical advice, and really just making sure companies are held accountable with a clear paper trail for regulators.
And that brings us to the final thought. The laws and tools we talked about today are for the AI we have right now. But as this technology gets smarter and woven more deeply into our society, how will our methods for auditing it and for ensuring trust need to evolve right along with it? That's the big question we all need to keep asking. Thanks for tuning in.